Hey guys, welcome back to OCO Social Impact Podcast, where we are here to equip today's social impact leaders one day at a time. In today's video, we're going to be talking about how to engage with different generations or multi-generations within your social impact organization. Many studies have been coming out or have come out in the last couple of years talking about the modalities of work and the cultures of work and how leaders are having to pivot and change different cultural practices within their organizations to accommodate the needs of these different generations. When I talk about the 4 to 5 different generations, I am talking about some traditionalists, the boomers, the millennials, the Gen X, and then the Gen Z. And when you are thinking about these different groups, you can go and do your own research about, their age ranges and, different things related to specific characteristics for each generation. But as leaders, one of the key areas that you want to think about when you are engaging with your employees or your volunteers even, and different stakeholders that come from different age groups, especially if you are a younger leader or if you're an older leader and you're trying to figure out how to best connect with your stakeholders. You want to think about a couple of things. You want to think about some historical facts that have shaped how these groups of individuals think. A lot of us have been through different things throughout different generations, and so that in turn impacts how we do things. For my generation, we came up and are coming up in the digital age, and so everything essentially is becoming digitized. But someone that is a traditionalist who came up during the Great Depression, they won't know anything about technology as much as someone like myself would, and the list goes on and on. And so these characteristics can help you to understand how to meet the needs of those that are working for you and those that you are serving. But if you're very strategic, you can really leverage the wisdom, the knowledge, and the expertise that these different individuals bring into these spaces. And so I do believe that the tips that we're going to talk about today will give you some practical understanding as to how to do that. So the first thing that we're going to talk about, and it is the foundation of everything, is you have to foster an inclusive work environment, an equitable work environment. When you are thinking about the work culture, you want to avoid certain things such as ageism. You want to avoid different areas of conflict where your employees do not respect each other. I have been in several organizations where my voice was not respected simply because I was a young female. And in that space, I had a lot that I wanted to share. I had a lot that I wanted to offer. But because I was the youngest in the group or the younger of the group, it was deemed that I was not mature enough to be able to give in my input with certain decisions that were being made. I have also seen older individuals treated disrespectfully or deemed unfit to do their jobs because they are older. And so this can go both ways. But when we're talking about ageism, we're typically talking about older individuals that are being discriminated against because of their age. So when you are developing the type of work culture that you would like to see within your organization or your department or the unit that you're working in, you are responsible for setting the groundwork for your employees to know that certain things are permissible and certain things are not permissible, and that can translate into the values of your unit or your department and so forth. The second point, which is where a lot of the friction kind of comes in sometimes, is being communicative. A lot of times there are policies and procedures in place, and these organizations mean well, but they aren't properly translated to the employees through the trainings or the workshops or, the different activities that allow the staff to engage and develop together as professionals. When you are thinking about how you communicate with your staff, I highly encourage you to switch it up a little bit. So, meet the needs of those that may prefer digital modalities. But then you may have some moments where you can use, face-to-face or in-person modalities. I see a lot of TikToks where people are kind of making fun of the different generations and how they engage and work when it comes to meetings, when it comes to different activities related to certain things within different spaces. But that is a real thing. The way a boomer may approach their work is going to be completely different than a millennial or even a Gen Z. I am personally in the Gen Z group, and I know that we prioritize our mental health and well-being over a job. We are not the generation that believes in working 40 hours a week. A lot of us would rather go and make more memorable experiences than work a 9 to 5, because it feels kind of confining for most of us, and I know definitely for myself. And so when you are thinking about different activities within your organization, be clear with your communication as always, but try to meet the needs of different employees that are within your organization. These can include the type of emails you send, instant messaging, so that can be via Slack, via Teams, or whatever software that your company uses, video conferencing. If you have an older group that is not familiar with Zoom or digital platforms that allow them to maybe automate some of their work a little bit quicker. Maybe you want to do a professional development training and teach them how to do those things. The third point that we're going to talk about today is embracing flexibility. We have seen throughout the last 4 to 5 years coming out of COVID, where a lot of people have questioned the way we do work. We were taught that we had to be in an office from 9 to 5 or 8 to 4:30, depending on your office hours. But typically it was you have to be in person. Everything has to be in person. And there were just traditional things that were kind of understood within the workspace. Well, COVID obviously shifted that for a lot of us. And so a lot of individuals recognize now that you can still be highly productive even if you're not in the office 5 days a week. Some jobs do not require that front-facing position where you're not really interacting with people. Your job may be more clerical in nature. So this is the same principle when it comes to how you engage with your staff. You may have staff members that would prefer to be in the office 5 days a week. You may have a staff that's like, hey, is it okay if I do a flex work plan where I come in 3 days a week and I work from home 2 days? Of course, you want to make sure this is in alignment with the levels of productivity for your organizational needs. But if it is okay for your employees to have the autonomy of their work schedule and what that looks like for them, then that should not be a problem. With embracing flexibility, I am a big believer that every organization should infuse professional development throughout their organization and give employees the opportunity to climb the ladder when it comes to their professional goals. And so there's always level of improvement within every organization, where there should be opportunities for traditional training sessions, online learning modules and courses that your employees can embark upon, and even different mentorship programs and opportunities that can cater to different professional development expertise that people may be wanting to share with others, or they may be wanting to learn from their colleagues, but there hasn't really been a space for that opportunity to happen. As you're embracing flexibility, we're going to talk about promoting collaboration and knowledge sharing. I would highly encourage you guys to engage in cross-functional teams. Allow some of the older individuals to partner with the younger individuals. I would do a sprint activity where, as you guys are working on your policies and different things related to, redefining the work culture, allow your team to be a part of that process and cross collaborate with one another. You can foster a level of mutual respect for these different generations that your organization may be serving. And with that, you allow your employees to have autonomy over their areas, but to also learn from you as well as each other in different skill sets that they may need. And then the final point, which is a no-brainer but is still important to cover, is recognize and value diversity. When I talk about diversity, I'm not necessarily talking about demographics per se. That of course is going to be a part of the equation, but I am more so focusing on diversity of skill set, diversity of perspective when it comes to how work is approached. And with this strengths-based approach to developing your team and allowing these different generations to share their expertise, their perspectives, and their voice, you can allow each generation to bring to the forefront areas where they're strong in and areas where they can, maybe use help in leveraging that partnership from other generations. Through these processes and these activities, I would highly encourage you guys to also allow for regular feedback within the staff, as well as from leadership to the staff as well. Most times people tend to do better when they have that peer-to-peer conversation where they can hear from someone that's a little bit on their level rather than a leader about what it is that they can improve upon. And with that, you can also of course have a little bit of fun and include some of those social activities as well. So if there are some activities related to your field or your industry, or just a shared common interest that your staff may have, as you guys engage in these different strategies and tips, I do believe that this will give you as leaders the opportunity to leverage different perspectives, different skill sets, different strategies that maybe you have missed in the past, and allow your employees to have a mutual respect for one another. And the final point as I conclude this video is to think about succession planning. This is another area where I have seen different organizations at different levels, when they don't have a succession plan in place, meaning what does life in this department or this unit look like when this person leaves, or we are trying to groom or train this person to eventually take over this role. What does that look like in a practical sense, and how can these two work together? Whether that be the two employees, or that can be middle management training someone for the next leadership position within their career ladder. Having a succession plan in place is very key and very critical, because the way one person did a job, another person that comes behind them may approach it completely different. And if there isn't any information there that they can kind of lean on as they are stepping into that role, it can be very challenging and very difficult and cause a little bit of friction when it doesn't have to necessarily be. So I hope and pray that this video was helpful for you guys. Again, having different generations within your organization is a wonderful thing. Depending on how you look at it, you have so many opportunities that can be of low cost, no cost, that you can use within your organization to bring out the best in those that are working with you and that you are serving. And so please please share, please subscribe in any platform, Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, Apple Podcasts, that you are engaging with us on. But until next time, try to make the world a better place today.